I'm back for part 2 of the Scandinavian experiment. We're going to see if Scandinavia teams can dominate European football. Now, the second part of the episode, well, the next part, I think I'm going to go 5 years into the future, see if they've done anything then. Because obviously, you can't really show anything from a season at a time, because obviously it'll take time to build up. So, yeah, let's look at, obviously, I believe this league has already started. Yes, it's quite irritating. Obviously, apologies for this, because there's just no way I could do it really from July to August and then January to March. So yeah, it's quite irritating. So let's have a look how they done last season. Stages: Rosenborg, Brann, Odd and Mold finished in the top 4, and the teams I put money into were Rosenborg, Mold, Brann and Odd. So the 4 teams I put money into finished in the top 4, which is good. So obviously Rosenborg won the league by 5 points actually. That's quite a bit. So let's have a look at how their transfers done last season. So last season they brought in Hendricks, Dost, Brennett, Robin, Dominguez and Rosted. Spent 39.5 million, not that much, but they brought in some solid transfers. And this season they brought in equally some solid transfers, but for more than almost triple what they spent the first season. Actually, is it? It's more than that. 48. More than 4 times what they spent in the first season. My bad, my maths. So in the second season, they brought in Congolo, Koulibaly, Immobile, Rudy, Bushila, Voba, Alvarez, Neves, Garcia, and Rika. So yeah, some solid transfers. Now let's look at Mold. Okay, good work, keyboard. Not working. Good work, Mold. Now let's see how they did transfer history. Last season, they didn't bring in many transfers, obviously, as you can see. This season, they've spent more money, but brought in alright transfers, I suppose. And where did they finish? They're currently second top. I'm guessing they finished around... Yeah, they finished 4th. They finished 4th last season. Obviously, there's a big 13-point gap between 4th and 3rd. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Don't know what happened there, but right now let's look at Brann, how they did transfer history. Last season they brought in 1 player, and that was for free. Really, Sander Engstrand. This season they've actually made some, effort into buying decent players. Not going to pronounce half their names because I will literally butcher it, but yeah, it looks like they enjoy sending loan players out to Osani. Must be, feeder club or whatever it's called. Not 100% sure on what they call it. So yeah, now let's go to Odd, the last out of the 4 Norwegian teams. Transfer history, how did they do last season? So they brought in 33.5 million. Some alright transfers. Obviously their most expensive was Eric Peters from Stoke. This season they spent a bit more than last season. Bit more. And they've brought in, I'm not even going to pronounce his name, Omujuanfo. I don't no idea. Sorry. Yeah, they brought in some decent transfers, not bad. And now let's move on to Finland. See how they've done, obviously. International League hasn't started. Transfers. Why am I looking at that? Right, so let's see, how did last season go? So we put money into HJK, then SJK, FC Inter and IFK. Marion. So IFK won the league, then HJK came second, and SJK came third, and fourth was FC Inter, which, you know, that was... Oh wow. So FC Inter missed out on European football by 4 goal difference. Wow, this league was very close. Very close. So obviously, you know, in real life we're near the end of it, but 4 teams we put money into are still top 4. And let's just take a look first at HJK, see how they did. Transfers, history. Alright, last season they didn't really bring anyone good, like, decent in. But I suppose it got them there, and this season brought in a few players. As you can see, quite a lot of them are Scandinavian. Well, from Scandinavian teams. And yeah, so they had a decent transfer window. Now it's SJK transfers history. Where is it? Last season. So last season they spent 1 million, didn't really bring in that many decent players. This season they spent 32.5 million. I mean, there's no one that I really recognise there. Oh, I recognise him, Artem Zuba. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I recognise him. And yeah, they didn't really spend much either. So what I'm noticing is the Finnish teams didn't spend much at all, really. I then go on FC and they've spent like 200 million, but yeah, let's ignore that. So first season they spent 1.8 million. Not much at all. Second season they spent 29.5 million. What I've noticed is teams don't spend much on the first season, then the second season they spend a lot more usually. But yeah, they've done some decent ones there. And I suppose that's why they're first. And finally is IFK Maryham Hammond. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Transfers, right. So season 1 they spent 26 million. Kumsen, I recognise his name. Don't know where I recognise it from, but I recognise his name, and yeah, that was alright. Now 2018 brought in some decent transfers here. You know, Neto, Perez, Churiches, Landu. That's a great name, Christian Landu. What a great name that is. So now I need to stop saying it's irritating the life out of me. I don't do it on purpose, but you know, it happens. No, Iceland, not the shop, the country. Did I give it? No. Right. Right. So as you can see, the teams we gave money to were, once I get my notepad, FH, KR, Stjarnan, and Valor. So obviously KR finished top. The only team that underperformed that I gave money to was Stjarnan, who finished 5th. Let's have a look at FH. Let's see how they done. I like their badge, it's nice. Right, transfers. Oh, right. So first season they spent 4.9 million. Brought in a few players. No one noticeable. And then second season they brought in a few players. They're bringing in a lot of Icelandic players. I've noticed that. Yeah, they've Amine Guri. They brought him in. I recognise his name. And that's basically it. Really, they've had a boring Robbie Crawford. Well, would you look at that? Alright, I suppose, whatever. Now let's look at KR, who won the league in their first season. Now let's see how they did. So they brought in 4.3 million worth of transfers. No one really noticeable. Ow, that was my headphones falling out. I appreciate. I apologize even. And the second season they spent 12.5 million. Didn't really buy anything. Oh, they brought in Denver Bar. They must be spending a lot. Oh, okay, no, they're not. And yeah, that's the only person that I recognize. Right, so after that we have Scandinavian. Let's have a look at their transfers. 2017 brought in a few players. Never really heard of any of them. So now let's look at this. The second season, and they brought in a few players actually. Berbatov. Where in the world did they get him from? Oh, they got him from the Indian League. They brought in Uma Niasi, Dixon Etuhu. His older brother's that one that played for someone. Can't remember. Wasn't it like? Wait, is this the one of? Oh, this is the one that played for some. Oh, he has a brother though. I know he has a brother. I didn't realize this guy was still playing. Wow. So he's playing in Sweden. I know that. He's playing in Sweden. So that was Esjanen. And now let's look at Vala. They finished third. Transfer history, yeah, so first season they didn't bring that much in. A lot of free transfers. Alright. And second season brought in a few players. Mostly, I've noticed these are bringing in a lot of Icelandic players. Like, a lot. So, now, let's go take a look at the Champions League. The Champions League hasn't started yet. What about... They got into the Europa League, they got into the second... they got knocked out. Let's see how FH did schedule. So these go into the Champions League. They got beat off Karabag. Got into the Europa League. Got beat off Zenit. Damn it. Vala. Let's have a look at how they did. So they beat Levski. Then they got beat off Red Star. Right. Obviously Stjarnan. I don't think they're in the Europa League. Oh, they did. They go into the Europa League. They beat Coleraine, who are no idea what country. Northern Ireland. And then they got beat off Aberdeen, but they put up a fight. They put up a fight against Aberdeen. And let's have a look at Finland. See how their teams did. Schedule. Last season, how did they do? Well, they got into the Champions League group stages. They just didn't get a very good, very lucky group, let's just say that. I mean, they got... Well, they beat Celtic, and they beat Apoel and Astana. But in the group, they got Besiktas, Real Madrid, and PSG, so that wasn't going well, was it? Nope. Just wasn't going to go well from the start. Right, so... There we go. Last season, right, HJK, let's see how they did. So they go into the Europa League. They beat Gansa, And then they beat Ostersunds FK. Then Olympia. And then they beat Krasnodar. Ah, wait. Nah, they got beat on away goals. Ah, that was unlucky. They put up a fight there, I tell you that. That was... What a fight that was. Ah, that was unlucky. Right, so that's HJK. Now SJK. Let's see how they did. Yeah, they got beat in the first round off Shakhtar Soligorsk. Players, the Belarus League. Belarus. I just realised it says underneath their name as well. God, I'm so stupid. Obviously, I don't think FC Inter got another... No, they didn't. Right, so now let's look at Norway. Let's see how they did. Oh, man, what are you doing? Norway. Schedule. Why am I looking at the international schedule? Rosenborg. Let's see how they did. Right, last season they beat Samtridia in the Champions League. Then they got beat off Copenhagen. And then they went to the Europa League and got beat off Everton. Right. Stages. Now let's look at Brann. Schedule. See how they did. So they beat Brøndby and then got beat off Atletico Bilbao. So yeah, they didn't go very far. ODD. See how they did last season. So they beat NSI, then they beat Chirac, then they got beat off PSV. Very close game of PSV. So there's right, and then Mold. I don't think they got into the European, did they? Now last season they didn't, but this season they did. And they were against SJK. Alright. So that's Norway done. Let's look at Sweden. Oh. Schedule. Why do I keep going on? I need to stop doing that. Sweden. Schedule. Last season, how did Göteborg do? They, you know, I should look at last season. Did they seriously not get into the... I mean, okay. Apparently Swedish teams don't get European football. But whatever. Elfsborg. Let's see. Did they have... No. Malmo. Haha, they had European football. They had it last season. So they beat Dundalk. Then they got beat off Salzburg. Then they went in the Europa League. And they beat AA Ghent. And then they go into a group with Lyon, Celtic, and Zoya. Wow, that must have stages. Oops. Let's have a look. Group stage K. Right. Oh, I see what happened. Right. So then they had that. Wow, they got beat on penalties in the knockout round against CSK in Moscow. So that's Sweden done. Now let's... I don't think Faroe Islands got very far, to be honest. That's, you know, that's all that would help if I could spell islands right. And it would help if it didn't, you know, full fate. That's not how you spell fate. I am mentally irritating myself. You don't even understand. KI. Schedule. Okay, they got knocked out in the first Europa League. And then... You know what? Just... Click. Work. Work with me, mouse. Right. Last season. NSI. Let's see how NSI did. Schedule. They got beat in the first round against ODD. Vikinger. There we go. Last season, they beat Alashkert and then got beat off Rijeka in the Champions League group. No, Champions League qualifying qualification round 1. And then KI, let's see how they did. Schedule. Last season they got beat off the off Osijek in the Europa League. They're in the Croatian league. I thought they were in somewhere. Where am I going? Oh my life. Right, let's see how Denmark did. Please, Denmark, make me proud. Right, come on. Stages. Right. How does this work? Rules. Continental qualification. One team qualifies for European Champions Cup. Oh, my life. Help me. One team qualifies for the Europa Cup. Europa League second qualifying round, and one team qualifies for the Europa League first qualifying round. Right. The frustration. Right. These guys. They go into the Champions League. They got knocked out of the Champions League. Oh no, it was the Europa League they got put in. They beat Derry City in the first round. Then Pulista in the second qualification round. Then they beat SCR Altach. They beat SCR Altach in the third round. And then in the playoffs, they got beat off Marseille. Right. Right. The frustration this is bringing me. Right, now we need to look at this. I don't know how this works. Right, well, these go into the Champions League. They got to the group stages. They got put in a group with Bayern, Ajax, and Sevilla. They got knocked out of the group stages. For some reason, they have friendlies in the middle of the season. Don't question. Deal with it. Yeah. Right. Brøndby. They got into the European Cup second qualification round, and they got knocked out by Brann. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if I'm gonna continue doing this one, because honestly it takes ages to do, and I honestly don't feel like I'm enjoying it, so probably not going to be doing this one anymore. But you know, I'm just going to upload it as like a taster to see how people, you know, how people like it. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.